Well, wouldn't you know it? Technical problems again this week. Sorry, I'm going to sound very, very quiet because you could hear electricity in the room that I was in, and that was my bad. I mean, we had some difficulties, and we both hoped that we would get through it. You can hear that at the beginning of this episode. We didn't record in the most ideal circumstance, but again, please bear with us just a little longer as things shape up more and more. But thank you for listening if you've been following this long.
Recording live from somewhere. Welcome to 2 Cents, the weekly dollar reviews after show where we talk the news, whether that be movies, video games, tech, TV, music even this week. It doesn't matter, it's just anything that caught my fancy and Steve sometime too. Reporting live from Long Beach and Steve from Austin, Texas. Welcome to our show.
From the worst shithole on the internet. I mean, I don't
Woo!
know if you guys can tell right now. Well, hopefully it sounds like we're having a conversation in a room, but in actuality, between you and me, we're on phone signals right now, so it's not going to sound anything like it is to us right now.
Well, I hope not. I mean, I'm wearing two headsets right now. I'm a man of many
Yeah.
headsets.
And I'm holding up one phone to my ear while trying to keep the headset on the other, so it's
They don't give a shit.
yeah, no, and I'm doing this at 2 in the morning for me, like just dead tired after a night of drinking. So that's a labor of love for you, folks. Just hopefully I'll
Is
try to
it?
keep my eyes awake this time.
I worked in a new location and I didn't get a break, and my coworker was sick. I'd trade a night of drinking for that. We'll start off with the big movie this weekend. It's going to be big for the next couple of years. Deadpool. We did a review for it just the other night. You can go listen to that, hear what we thought of the flick. It doesn't matter what we thought because Fox already greenlit a sequel for the film on Tuesday morning. This was before it went on to become a monster. We predicted on a review show that it was going to make like 80 or 90. It's
That was what it was
clocking.
projected at. Yeah,
It's
it's the
projected
highest
closer to like
grossing. It's the biggest R-rated opening ever.
well since The Matrix. Um,
No, like yeah, no. Now it's the biggest one ever though. Like that's
yeah,
the top one.
we thought it was gonna be like 80 or 90. It's looking to be closer to like 130 or 140 because of the 3-day weekend. It's
Either way, that's
huge.
over 100.
Yeah, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, the writers, are coming back already. Uh, I'm guessing Tim Miller is going to be attached to because he doesn't have anything else on his slate. They're looking to keep the whole creative team together. They want to get the same mood. It makes sense. It worked for a lot of reasons. One of those being that they just wrote the character well. So yeah, they tease it at the end of the film. They have a after credit sequence where they talk about a sequel and cable and time travel. So I'm sure that they're already in the process of figuring that out. I did see something on Twitter that the bad guy from Avatar is lobbying to play Cable. I don't see it. He doesn't have it. In the words of Deadpool himself, he thinks Keira Knightley would be a better fit. But yeah, if you haven't seen this
I mean,
movie, you're probably
without
going to.
knowing who without knowing who that character is, I mean, Stephen Lang as a villain could have a good presence on screens. I mean,
Well, Cable's not a
you know,
villain. He's the son of Cyclops, and he can use like plasma blasts, and his whole shtick is that he can do time travel. Not a villain.
that's a weird thing to adjust to.
But yeah, making gangbusters. Then again, it kind of opened up against non-competition. Zoolander 2 is supposed to be shit, so good for Fox. They got something right. Talking about people that get things right though, Universal, they have a duo or a tandem, I guess you could say, of casting news. The first one, the big one, is that Johnny Depp is going to be playing the Invisible Man in the shared monster universe. No bullshit. I screamed with joy when I saw this. I think it was like Thursday or Friday night. I yelped. I was like, "Woo!" Uh,
I
the
can
fact,
see it. I mean, I'm not terribly excited about it. In my heart, there's only Claude Rains is the Invisible Man. It's
sure,
not Vincent
but
Price. Like Claude Rains owns it. But no, Johnny Depp, that's good casting though.
last week they announced Tom Cruise being in The Mummy. Now Johnny Depp and the Invisible Man. Like, where do they go from here? What's the next step? Who's gonna be Dracula?
Okay,
Who's gonna
there's
be
good
Frankenstein?
casting. There's good casting, but first off, there's already a Dracula. It's Luke Evans. But I mean,
We don't know if they're gonna keep Dracula Untold, and I hope they keep Tywin Lannister. I don't really care about Luke Evans.
okay,
He doesn't.
what is the release date for the first movie? I mean, is it this year? Is it next year? I mean,
I think The Mummy is next year.
we've been talking way too long about like Dracula Untold. That was 2014, and they were
Yeah.
planning on doing this before then. So I mean, good God, put something out already, man.
But like, think about Luke Evans
Mhm.
being sharing a screen in the Avengers of this franchise alongside Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp. I don't see it.
I can see it. No, I mean, he's got a good screen presence. You know, he's not as legendary as those guys yet. He can be one day. So you know, like, yeah, right now he hasn't proven himself to be up at that level, but I think he could be there. Like,
I
I do think he's that good.
I'm not saying he's bad, but I think that they're probably gonna, cast someone. They're gonna keep getting top talent A-listers for this franchise to kind of differentiate what they have from everyone else. I'm excited. I mean, Universal. This isn't the only news. Like I said, it is a tandem. They also might be pursuing Charlize Theron to play the villain in Fast 8. Um, so that would be really cool. She hasn't really been the villain since, I don't know. I guess you could say Monster.
I haven't seen Monster. I mean, but when's the last time that Fast and Furious, like, they had a decent villain that, like, I don't know.
Last time,
Well,
Statham.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's only
Before
cool 'cause
that, it
it's
was Luke
Statham.
Evans.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean, you know, my point is, I don't know. Those movies have, like, they hire an actor to be present as a
mhm.
villain. I wish that they would write a villain that's awesome, though, as opposed to just having, like, you know, just Charlize Theron being the villain. I mean, you know, like, that franchise doesn't really get points for characterization. It's mainly for action scenes, but I mean, yay, you know, I guess that is a change of pace. I would hope it's something different other than just throwing her in there, though, and just being the villain. Like,
Yeah,
you know, I know that franchise, they're playing it safe, they have a formula and they stick to it, but it really is wearing thin for me, honestly. Like, I hope that this leads to something more unique.
I just want to see like The Rock get in a fight with Charlize Theron, and he rips her arm off, and then it's like foreshadowing for the Mad Max
Oh,
sequel. Just something cool like that. So Sunday was big for a couple of reasons besides the news here. Probably the biggest thing that happened was Kanye West's new album, The Life of Pablo, went live. It's currently only streaming on Tidal, Jay-Z's streaming service. I signed up for the 1 month trial. I had to hear this album. I've heard it once so far. I need to hear it at least a couple more times before my trial expires. Interesting service. Like their whole thing is that they do high fidelity. They also have some scripted content. They have exclusive music videos. So like Rihanna and Beyonce, their latest songs and albums from the last month or so are also only on Anti. It doesn't seem like a bad service though. You seem to get more money's worth than something like Spotify. Obviously the library's smaller, and I'm not big on lossless audio, but the fact that it has that going for it at the $20 range isn't bad, especially if you are someone who buys music very regularly.
Well,
Don't
it's
re-
also is got ease of use and everything. Like, it's not
Yeah,
that complicated.
it
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
mean,
complicated to get going, but I think it was just the servers were flooded. There was a ton of people probably signing up for account when I was. Like Tidal went from who knows where to the number one downloaded app on the App Store today. But yeah, I don't have a critique of the Life of Pablo. Probably on Dollar Views next episode. So you'll be hearing that on Saturday. Interesting though. I mean, it's longer than it was supposed to be. It's like the fourth title that's had now. Um, but I bring this up besides it being news because it's a great segue for the next thing. We talked about Apple on the show a lot. We talked about their tech and being a pioneer and where they're going next. And we also like talking about the rumors. Well, you can check this one off the rumor list. It's now actuality. Apple is entering the original content game. Their first show is titled Vital Signs. It's conceived, executive produced, and starring Dr. Dre. It's in production now. It's going to consist of 6 to 30-minute drama episodes. I mean, it's going to consist of 6 30-minute drama episodes released in the binge model. It's written by one of the main writers and producers of Empire, so it's probably going to have something similar going on for that. The idea is that each of these 6 episodes is going to pertain to one of the 6 moods and just how Dr. Dre kind of lives out that. There's no clue where it's going to be available. Apple Music is a good bet since it's already a pre-existing subscription service that Apple has going and it has pretty good numbers. But I bet that they'll announce something new during their iPad iPhone event on March 18th. Um, we'll see what happens here. Maybe if they get enough people watching it, they'll make their own thing. They'll have their own line of shows. But
I
this,
mean,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know how, still not knowing enough about it, I don't know how they're going to market this. I mean, like, the key to success is, I think, seeing with how Netflix has done it with Orange is the New Black, or even House of Cards, or even even Amazon with Transparent, like, really, I mean, yeah, those are really probably some of the most popular shows that are just streaming only, but that's because you can sum up the entire concept within one sentence, and that catches people's attention. So
Well, I think the angle here is, Dr.
I
Dre
think,
and
yeah, you got the talent behind it. I'm just, if they want, something that's going to be big, then, or
what
if this is just the one that's supposed to be starting it, then
I think this is just the start of it. And like I said, it's probably going to be tied to Apple Music, which is just an extension of the Beats Audio brand that
yeah,
they bought from Dr. Dre and company, 2 years ago for like $3 billion. So it makes sense that, he's kind of their golden boy of late. He obviously had a big hit. It wasn't just him, but was straight out of Compton. And so his name is out there. He put out that Compton album a year ago. Beats Audio, radio is a huge thing. So it makes sense that they're going back to the well, using him to go forward. Like I said, if this happens to be on their Apple Music model, I would just think that they can't call it Apple TV because they already have a device that's named that. But if they call it something like Apple Television or Apple Video, I don't know. They'll come up with some name. But it wouldn't make sense, maybe just for now, that this is part of Apple Music. Like I said, Spotify, 2 weeks ago, they introduced video to their apps. Tidal has original programming. So it makes sense, since they already have billing set up on a monthly basis with the subscription model, that they can just add new content to there to go along with their music. But no one knows. This just broke news yesterday. They are shooting like an orgy scene in the Hollywood Hills a couple of days ago. So yeah, there's no one knows if this is going to be good. It probably isn't going to be. I know Apple's bankrolling it 100%. They don't have any co-investors.
well, it is that step into making original programming, which was bound to happen.
Yeah, we just hope it's good.
We shall see.
But talking about streaming, this is really interesting. Netflix, once upon a time, used to run their own server farms. They actually pushed all their content on their own servers. This turned out to be a bad thing. Back in 2008, there was so much traffic that like a couple of them went down and you couldn't stream anything. I think it was like 3 days or something. And
Well, streaming wasn't available till 2009.
maybe it was '09 then, but this is
Yeah.
definitely something that happened. Like their servers went down for a couple of days and they had to make up for it by giving like free DVDs, like a free month, whatever they did. So anyway,
I remember actually when that happened.
in the years since then, they've slowly started converting all of their web traffic to Amazon Web Services. As of 2 days ago, all of Netflix's streaming content is available through the services that Amazon does. So, two huge video on demand services are working in tandem to it's like they're rivals, but they're helping one another. Because obviously Netflix has more subscribers, but the fact that Amazon is being leveraged for this internet bandwidth, they're still making money off of Netflix's numbers.
I don't know, what do you want me to say here.
It's something funny. It's like
It's kind of funny. It's ironic, but from a business sense, I guess it makes sense. They're doing more than just putting out content out there. So, I mean, and that's what businesses do. They tend to help each other to stay afloat. So,
yeah, like the article.
yeah, the irony is pretty funny though.
Yeah, the article I was reading about this. It's like Samsung and Apple are competitors, but they both use the same tech and leverage one another in factories, and a couple of, like Microsoft using Blu-ray disc drives in the Xbox now, which is partially owned by Sony. So yeah, it's not.
It's funny, yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
mentioned Samsung. Yeah, when I took out my battery for my MacBook and I replaced it, it was a
Samsung battery.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just funny stuff that happens in the tech industry. But these two are the two streaming giants, and the fact that they're both using the same Amazon servers, it's kind of funny. I like, maybe Netflix has its own algorithms, and it's they both do 4K. But I wonder if there's someone out there unbeknownst, like, just doesn't know about this, and they're trying to make a video on YouTube about who has the better streaming like quality or something silly like that. I'm sure there's someone out there. I'm sure there's a YouTube video about this.
It's way too obsessive for me. But yeah, sure. The best thing that we can get out of this is that It's all connected.
It is all connected.
Yep.
And it's almost science fiction, isn't it? And speaking of sci-fi, the channel with a Y and another Y, it's going VR. They're making this new show called Halcyon. It's set in 2058, the near future, where virtual reality has become the new smartphone. It's just ubiquitous. Everyone has it. It's commonplace. So this show is going to have 15 episodes total. 10 are going to be regular linear structure on TV, and then the 5 other ones are going to premiere on Oculus. So this show takes place both in the real world and VR world, and so a third of the content is only going to be available through VR means. This is really exciting to me. I hope that this isn't locked into Oculus. It would be awesome if this goes everywhere. But I might have to check this show out. It sounds interesting.
When is this slated to
There's-
premiere? Probably like later this fall.
Yeah, I would assume. There wasn't a date in the
So
announcement.
It's coming.
It is coming.
That mainstream push for VR. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not seeing any major marketing for it, but it's coming.
I mean, the devices don't go on sale. The first of the devices, anyway, don't go on sale for another month now. So,
Yeah, but,
advertise
we should be seeing something pretty soon. That's what I'm saying.
I think you're going to start seeing Oculus billboards or just like mobile ads in the next week or so. I think that, well, maybe not, because I mean, they're not going to be in stores till April, and all the pre-orders have sold out anyway. But the HTC Vive is also coming out in April, and so the next month or so is when the marketing push is going to happen, when we're going to see ads and I would assume commercials. I'm really surprised Facebook didn't buy an Oculus ad for the Super Bowl, but yeah, like, it's happening and everyone's invested, and I guess sci-fi is too. It's pretty cool, because I mean their target demographic, I would assume, is also invested in VR and just tech on the
Yeah.
whole. So hopefully it works out for them. So final headline we got here before we get into just the film stuff. This is something really cool. Everyone likes to talk about female superhero movies and female superheroes and how it doesn't work, and Marvel's too scared to make a Black Widow film. Warner Brothers announced a ton of news about their DC Superhero Girls content on Tuesday. This was first unveiled about a year ago. And I made a joke on Twitter. I was like, well, why don't they just redo the Powerpuff Girls? Well, they're doing that too. But basically what this is, it's kind of taking their girl-friendly figures and making a whole push to get just a bigger audience, not just for the boys. So part of what they introduced is that Mattel will offer a number of industry firsts, among them being the first ever 6-inch action figures designed for girls, the first 12-inch action doll line, and first ever action role-play toys aimed at the female market. And it's all part of its contribution to the line, because among this, it's not just the toys, it's new comics, new cartoons, more like websites that they're making direct-to-video, like DVD shorts, the first of which was introduced last October, and there's 10 more that have debuted since then, so you're looking at like 11 so far. But yeah, like Boomerang has announced that it's exclusive broadcast partner. It's going to have a 44-minute special on the network to premiere this spring. And in addition to that, like I said earlier, there's going to be direct-to-DVD specials and things of that nature from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. So, this, in addition to the Wonder Woman movie coming out a little more than a year from now, they're obviously trying to take that and put it in full frame to maybe make Disney look bad by comparison.
Well, no, I mean, they're making the right step. It's ridiculous the way that you're pitching this. Like, the way that's being said is like, yeah, this is kind of a first. I mean, and I'm not like criticizing how you're saying. It's just like, but it's ridiculous that you have to say that. I mean, yeah, like Disney really needs to rectify how they're handling the toys between Guardians last year and now Star Wars.
Well,
Guardians 2 years ago and Star Wars last year. I mean,
more Star Wars, because I mean, people were really incensed about the no Rey toys and Rey not being in the Star Wars Monopoly set, and
well, yeah, but not having Gamora though in the toys, like just being completely excluded from that team up, like in T-shirts and stuff. That was ridiculous. But yeah, Rey, that's also a big deal.
You could argue, though, in Guardians of the Galaxy that she doesn't play as big of a role as...
No. She's front and center. Like, hey, you have the right stuff shot with all of them in frame in the movie. Like, that's the team. You don't have her, like, on the T-shirts and stuff. You exclude a character directly. I mean, that's still a pretty major character. I mean...
But it's not Rey
she's
major.
She's more important than Groot, honestly.
Yeah, not as memorable, but yeah, in the fact that she is one of what's his name's daughters, it's pretty
Yeah,
major.
I mean, no, they're all equally important. It's a team. You don't exclude a member of the team. Like, Black Widow was a minor character in that team, but over time, yeah, she's gotten more popular, so that's ridiculous. I mean, but yeah, then you get to Star Wars with Rey. That it's good on Warner Brothers for having
Yeah.
common sense.
Hopefully Disney realizes too because of this. Maybe they're forced into a corner and they have to rethink their strategy. But throughout history, they've been known as the people that make these girl-friendly princess movies, and it's kind of a
Hmm.
bad thing too.
I mean, what's stupid here is that people are asking for the product and they're
Yeah.
not making it when they would be able to make money off of it. So they should be able to change that just on a business level. I mean, they would. There's profit there in Ray toys and stuff for Guardians. So
See,
yeah, I'm
what's
sure that'll be changed pretty soon.
what's funny is I don't know if this is Disney necessarily, but Marvel over the last year or so has made changes in their comic book line to make characters that have been traditionally men into women. The big
Hmm.
one about a year and a half ago was that Thor is a woman now. Captain
Yeah.
Marvel is has a bigger role in the Marvel universe. There's a couple other people. There's Spider Gwen. I think the new Wolverine's a girl, and so they're clearly trying to figure it out. But when you realize or just think about how many people read comics versus watch adaptations either on TV or in the movies, like Warner Brothers has Supergirl. They didn't have to do that. They could have made another Superman show. Um, so yeah, hopefully Marvel isn't left behind on this. I just the fact that yeah, I know that they have a Captain Marvel movie being made at some point in the near future, but
Yeah,
hopefully,
2018, I think.
well, yeah, that's when Wonder Woman comes out, like a year, like June
It's the year
2017.
before, yeah.
So hopefully, they're not only just making that to compete, but because they have general interest. But yeah, let's just get into movies here. We got a couple of dates here that are kind of important. Will Smith's Collateral Beauty, she talked about a couple of weeks ago. Huge ensemble cast: Helen Mirren, Ed Norton, Michael Pena. They just added another one, Keira Knightley. It's opening against Rogue One this Christmas. Well, actually, it's the 18th of the year.
That's not bad at all.
It's not bad.
No, I
But
mean, I don't know what you're going to say, but I mean, yeah, that's counter programming. I mean, then look at Sisters, which came out the same exact day. That did very, very well, two up against it. And I'm sure that people went and saw that instead of Star Wars when Star Wars screenings were sold out. So it should work out well for it, providing that the movie's good.
hopefully, but what's interesting here is that Warner's just made this date earlier this week. And so on paper, earlier in the week, Warner had two films opening opposite of Star Wars flicks in consecutive years. Because next Christmas, not this one that's coming, was originally Ready Player One up against Episode 8 when that moved. Well,
That's going to have to change.
it already changed, actually.
Yeah.
Warner's
Okay.
moved Ready Player One to March 30th, 2018. The same day they announced Collateral Beauty opening against Rogue One. So Rogue One's okay. Episode 8, no. So they moved their huge tentpole, the Steven Spielberg film, to Easter. And so March is going to be really filled with Warner Brothers films now. On the second of the month, there's an untitled event flick that might be something like San Andreas 2 or who knows what. And then on the 16th is an unannounced DC movie, which people are predicting to be the Flash standalone film. So big month for them. Kind of dodged a Disney bullet. But yeah, I'm just happy that I don't have to see one or the other between Ready Player One and Star Wars now. They can,
Yeah, well, that was never going to happen. I mean, it's, for the, I forgot the name. Sorry, the Will Smith movie. Though. I mean, that's
Mhm.
those are different movies. So counter programming makes sense there. Ready Player One and Star Wars. No, that's way too similar in genre.
I'm just happy.
Like, there's no way it would have won.
I mean, what's funny is like Star Wars and many other pop culture staples are kind of pivotal to just the story of Ready Player One. Not the story necessarily, but it has I talk about it multiple times on the show. It has a Roger Rabbit type of thing for it, where you have all these pop culture vehicles and characters or whatever apparent in the background of a scene, or they could be even vital to the scene itself. So yeah, it would have been cannibalizing their own market on that weekend. So I'm just really happy
Hmm.
that it's getting its own spot. But like I said, there's other dates that are happening. Paramount made a lot of them, a lot of announcements this week. The biggest of which I'm sure you're kinda excited about were the Transformers, um, the new trilogy of films, I guess you could call them. They all got
Well,
dates.
they cleared that up and made clear that there were spin-off movies in there too.
Yeah, there's
That
one
that was
spin-off.
insane. The original announcement.
Yeah, so yeah, Transformers 5 is opening June 23rd, 2017, up against Wonder Woman. Transformers 6 is June 8th, 2018, against Godzilla 2. And then Transformers 7 is by itself on June 28th, 2019. So for the next 3 years, we're going to have a Transformers film every year, and the first two are going to open against Warner Brothers movies.
Right, and here's the thing. I mean, already you mentioned Warner Brothers having
Uh-huh.
like an already a crowded slate in March, and we just had a February superhero movie break 100 million, setting a February record. Back when Spielberg and Lucas talked about the industry like just imploding on itself, I mean, now we're really getting overcrowded with big studio tentpole blockbusters, aren't we?
It's
I mean,
stupid because
like not just that they're going outside of the summer, but they're going to be facing each other directly now.
yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, this has been happening for a while now. Like we've been seeing these dates. There's that huge calendar move that happened a couple of weeks ago now. So it's obvious, there's only 52 weeks in the year. There's more movies than that every year that are released. And so it was originally common sense, that let's do it around the holidays, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Christmas, whatever. And now, with something like Kingsman or Deadpool, or Valentine's Day is fairground. Well, Washington's birthday is okay. Let's do this one. And it's basically just who
at the
can.
very least, though, they're like every 2 or 3 weeks. Like they're
Yeah.
still very
Yeah,
close.
no,
Like,
yeah.
there's
This year's
breaks in there, yeah.
huge. This year,
But
it's
the
every
big
2
thing, though,
weeks
is
or
that-
so.
And yeah, the big thing is now you got like some big stuff like competing against each other, and there's stuff that's like, there were still flops over the summer that we forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's like some major successes that we love talking about, like Star Wars. Yeah, there were like Terminator was a flop, but Tomorrowland was a flop. Like a lot of
Selfless.
these failing more often than they are succeeding. So shit, yeah. I mean, it's getting way overcrowded.
But I mean, this year we have Civil War, we have Batman versus Superman.
hmm
Obviously, later in the year we got Star Wars. Doesn't the new Star Trek come out this year?
yeah, and I don't know how well that's gonna do. Like, I mean,
Well,
people generally like Star Trek.
it's
but-
Justin Lin, so I hope it's good.
no, I mean, the quality could be there, but especially it's coming out in July. I mean, is there
Something like
really
that.
going to be a big demand for it at that point?
Who knows? Like, if Oscar So
Especially
White is still a
sci-fi-
thing, then they're gonna be, ooh, Idris Elba's the villain.
Oh, come on.
Mm.
Okay, a villain in makeup, though. I mean, I don't know. I'm just expecting an excuse to be made for whatever reason. But I don't. It's a piece of sci-fi coming out in July. Look at how well that worked out for Terminator.
I think Star
But
Trek
yeah,
and Terminator.
We also
are-
have Independence Day. There's
No one's
there's
talking
so
about that
much
movie.
stuff.
I'd be
Yeah,
surprised if
I-
that broke like 120, like total
I mean,
gross.
there's sure hits like I think Civil War is a
Yeah, sure hit. That's
already.
gonna be $500 million for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like that's because people are immersed in that story and they want
Mhm.
to see where that goes. Star Trek, even though people like at the very least the first film and the second one, like yeah, there's general fans. It didn't live up to the box office of the first film, so I don't know if among the general population there's a great interest in seeing that series continue. Like I feel like I kind of doubt that we'll get a Star Trek 4 unless this one happens to be really good and fans beg for it.
I
But-
mean, there's enough Trekkies out there that they're gonna see it anyway, despite how much they hated or loved the previous two in the reboot series. I mean, obviously there's not gonna be a the old Spock in this one, but maybe they make up for that by getting William Shatner to make a cameo. Like I said, it's
Well, but that
Justin
does not
Lin.
make the movie. We know that. So
Well, in that first reboot, it kind of did, literally.
no,
the-
like yeah, but that was not. It was not pitched on that, and that was a nice surprise. Mainly that it was cool. Like for 2 seconds that you see that he's there, but then it's how that they utilized him into the story that managed to make sense of it. That you managed to have this more space opera type show that just completely changed the game. Like I love the explanation for that of how they changed the rules of that series and maintained the relevance of the other history.
Even though it's a gimmick that works.
No, yeah, it's very cleverly done.
But yeah, Paramount, besides the Transformers movies, and like I said, the sixth Transformers film is supposed to be a Bumblebee spinoff, so let's hope that he's not just XM voice by that time. He better get his voice fixed.
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think you can do that. Just because, honestly, part of the charm of that character is that
Wearing
he doesn't
thin.
have a voice. So yeah, what happens when you give him a voice? Then like unless it's the greatest, it's a James Earl Jones type voice. Then sure, but even then that would feel out of place, wouldn't it? Because it's Bumblebee. I mean, he's
It's
yellow.
been by this
so
point.
What do you do?
When he gets the solo film, it had been 5 installments of the same gimmick over and over. It worked really well in that first one. In the second one, it didn't. In the third one, it didn't. In the fourth one, it really didn't. You have this medic that's always around with him, fixing them when the limbs get...
Dead now.
Well, whatever, but I'm saying, these limbs are getting blown off, and he fixes them, people are getting stabbed through this chest, and it's no problem. You can't fix the radio signal on this one robot, even though he's, like, the face of the franchise? That's weird.
Not only that, but apparently they fixed it at the end of the first movie.
And then it
they
broke.
Just used it. That's the thing. They used it as an excuse of, like, oh, you having voice problems again? Because that's the thing. That's part of the charm of that character, is that he cannot necessarily speak what's on his mind. So... what do you do there? I mean, I don't know.
Just give up.
At best, if they can find a story behind it and just avoid any explanation there and just roll with it, then I mean, I don't know. I don't understand what a spin-off with that character would be like.
Boring.
Because I just don't see how you can.
If
It's not like with the Avengers or with what they're going to do with the DC universe, where these characters have very different personalities. Like they're all the robots have been pretty two-dimensional, so it's not like you can kind of split them off.
I like the Ken
having
Watanabe
a team-up
samurai
Transformers
robot,
movie.
and Age of Extinction, his samurai, that was cool.
Yeah, but I mean, no, they're all like
John
very
Goodman was cool
two-dimensional
too.
Personalities, like they got one personality and one special set of skills. Like they're just types. That's it.
Well, they are robots in disguise. What more can you ask for? It's a toy line that became a cartoon, that became a movie based on a cartoon, and now it's made billions globally. But yeah, Paramount announced a lot of other stuff this week. They've been keeping busy, which is a huge turnaround from we talked earlier about Terminator Genesis being a flop. So they've kind of fixed their woes so far, or at least they're trying to. The first big one that they made, the big move, is that they're releasing Triple X3: The Return of Xander Cage. The first 2 films were at Sony, but this one with Vin Diesel and co. has already started shooting. It began on the 4th of this month. Other news for this film, though, is that Jet Li, who was originally playing the villain, has been replaced by Donnie Yen. So that's kind of cool. They got someone who's more relevant. I know you saw Ip Man 3 not too long ago, so he definitely has a following. So hopefully that works well.
I mean, he's definitely talented for what they want to use him for.
Yeah,
that's about it.
They want an Asian guy that doesn't speak English. That's scary.
And that just does martial arts. Like, as far as having a scary presence. Well, I don't know what it'll probably just be tell them to give them a blank stare and have some like menacing Oriental music in the background or something. It'll be very, very cheesy, I'm sure.
I'm still hoping that Ice Cube makes a cameo, just to try to make the franchise come full circle, or like just a line where like Samuel Jackson, like when they find Vin Diesel in the beginning, and Samuel Jackson walks up to him, he's like, "Yeah, we need your help," and Vin Diesel looks at the camera, he's like, "I thought you had a black guy replace me."
I don't give a shit. No, you can have that franchise, man. That's all you.
That second movie's so bad. It's good. It's a good franchise. It was the extreme sports spy movie.
It's pretty lame, man.
Well,
it's not even that intense.
Yeah, I don't like McG. You don't like Rob Cohen. It's okay. But yeah, Paramount. Their final big thing that happened. Berlin's happening right now, the film festival, and a lot of trades and transactions and pre-sales have happened. The big one right here is that Paramount bought the rights to George Clooney's Suburbicon. It's a film that's been in the rumor mill for a while now. It's written by the Coen brothers. It stars Matt Damon, Oscar Wilde, Josh Brolin, Julianne Moore. It's shooting this October. The premise is it's about a family dynamic souring in a perfect suburb after a home invasion happens. Hopefully it's really interesting. It's cool that the Coen brothers are writing more. I mean, Bridge of Spies was them. This is going to be them. They haven't really written something that they haven't directed in decades. So it's cool that they're letting their words be out there without being attached to the work itself. I don't really know anything about this movie. I mean, George Clooney's directing it. He doesn't have the best track record because he might have made Good Night and Good Luck, but then he also did Monuments Men and Leatherheads, and I think there's something else bad in there. Ides of March, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, I like Confessions of a Dangerous Man, or A Dangerous Mind, I mean. A lot of people don't, so...
No, I do too. Although I can't remember it like at all, but I know I saw it last year for sure.
Strawberry Dick Harris, funny movie. I don't know. Hopefully this seems like it's right up his alley. Just did Hail Caesar with the Coen brothers. Has had a long working relationship with them, so they probably wrote for his voice in mind. So hopefully this puts him back at the top of the director's game. So yeah, Paramount's doing a lot of stuff, but so is Film 4. You know, UK Channel 4. They make movies. The movies they made this past year were really impressive, at least in the Academy's eyes. They've garnered 15 nominations at this year's award ceremony alone. The big ones in that for them are Carol, Room, and Amy. They're celebrating this by adding $15 million to their annual funding. So yeah, they have a lot of big things in the pipeline, among them being a Mary Magdalene biopic with Rooney Mara, that Trainspotting sequel that we've mentioned a couple times, and plus flicks from highly known directors like Andrew Haigh, who did 45 Years, Steve McQueen, and also Lenny Abrahamson. But the big one that came out of Berlin is that they have Martin McDonagh, the director of In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths. His next film at Film 4 is titled Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. It's about a woman whose daughter is murdered, and she takes on the local police after they fail to find her killers. The director was quoted in The Guardian last year saying, "She thinks they are more interested in torturing black people than getting justice." So this could be a really good movie. It sounds like it has its finger on the pulse, and like Frances McDormand was attached previously. I really liked In Bruges. I still haven't seen Seven Psychopaths. It's on Netflix. Great playwright. He has like something in the West End right now. So yeah, Film 4, they went from like no one at all to a big player this past year. So hopefully this just stays with them and they can keep blossoming.
Yeah. No, I mean it's good that they're doing well and that they're putting more money forward. I mean, especially because we're talking just previously, like just now, we were talking about nothing but franchises and all this stuff going forth, and they're putting money up for filmmakers that can make more original stuff. So
exactly, yeah.
We get that. Yeah, that's the best part about it.
Yeah. I know that final film I talked about, it's a co-production with Fox Searchlight. It's 50-50, so Film 4 keeps the rights in the UK and Fox keeps it here. But yeah, like they might be the new Miramax, where filmmakers go to make their passion projects and still get the wide distribution. But yeah, EuropaCorp, who we talked about before, they have that deal with like A24 does with Amazon Prime to get their movies streaming there now. Mm-hmm. They made a huge purchase. They've bought James Ponsolt's The Circle, his next film. They paid $10 million for it without seeing it. This film is adapted from a David...
Without seeing it?
Yeah, without seeing it.
I thought it had studio backing before. Did it?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. It stars Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, John Boyega, Patton Oswalt, Eller Coltrane.
I just assumed that this was James Ponsolt's like bigger studio flick or
No,
something.
I think it's just a indie that had money to make it go forward. I mean, a friend of mine, Zamir, he actually did some background work on the film. So he was like telling me about it before we saw Deadpool. He was like, oh yeah, I worked on that movie. So yeah, I'm excited that I'm gonna see this, even if I don't buy a ticket for it. It'll be on Prime eventually. But seeing as how I've liked everything he's made, I can't imagine not going to see him with his collaboration with Tom Hanks. But yeah,
I mean, it just makes me more excited for like the tone of the movie if EuropaCorp is
right.
It. I mean,
it has to be sci-fi.
I really, Yeah, I know. I did 10 million. I don't. I'm really curious what the budget for this is now because I thought it was bigger, but
Probably like 8 or 7.
yeah, I'm really curious now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
It's one of
still
those things
excited.
we should research maybe.
I don't know if that information was out there, but
It has to be somewhere,
okay,
somewhere on the
maybe deep
internet.
down under,
Yeah,
you do way more research. Yeah.
just like
Okay.
find some forum that's just movie producers. They talk in secret. It's like you gotta use a torrent browser. It's like Onion. It's the dark web. But yeah, staying with directors for a while. We like talking about them, aspirations and whatnot. Alexander Payne, he's lined up his next film. He's going to be directing My Saga. It's an adaptation of a New York Times Magazine article about a Norwegian writer following the Trek Vikings made in North America. Sounds a lot different than stuff he usually does. I mean, outside of The Descendants, his films are about Nebraska and small town people doing like big things. But yeah, this is gonna be kind of like about Schmidt. It's gonna be a road movie, I guess.
Not Ord, Nebraska. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that is true. Well, I mean, that's only in Nebraska, and it's not the most exciting journey. It's like, oh, that's I got a ticket. What was it? It was like a fake lottery ticket. It was like a publishing clearinghouse where it was like you could have won $1 million. I like that movie a lot. I think it was just Will Forte, like opposite of Bruce Stern. Like their chemistry was, it shouldn't have worked, but it was so good. But yeah, this movie sounds interesting. I know you still haven't seen Election, but I really generally like the stuff that Alexander Payne does, and it's been a good couple of years.
No, yeah. I mean, as do I. So like anything that he's doing is worth seeing, as far as I'm concerned.
And you should see Election. You should make that.
I will at one point. I'm sure that we will be talking about it at some point because you or I will make that call.
Well, I'm just saying, like that movie's so good that you should just like bypass that to cinema and just watch it on your own.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
No, I when I get the time. Right now, time is like it's really difficult to find time for these things.
But yeah, other directors.
It's true.
It is definitely true. Chris Wetz. He's directing a true gay rights drama titled 21 Years to Midnight. It's about the men whose court case led to the legalization of gay marriage this past year in America. So, big story, means a lot. Hopefully they can dramatize it and make it interesting. As they're obviously just targeting a certain demographic at the box office. And it's probably going to be, cannon fodder, award season stuff. But it could be something that people rally behind because, Straight Compton was a surprise hit, and I don't know, I'm not comparing the two, but it sounds like it could be a potential similar territory.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It was definitely like it came out at just the right time, in order to reach a mass audience.
It'd be funny if they put it out on like the 8th of the month to try to do like a Proposition 8 kind of tie-in type thing.
No.
So that was kind of news. This one that I read about yesterday is a lot more interesting. Another gay film. Paul Rudd and Steve Coogan are going to be playing a married couple. If that's not good enough, here's the premise of the movie. It's called An Ideal Home, and it follows Steve Coogan, who's a celebrity, taking in his grandson he didn't know existed. Like Paul Rudd plays his like sidekick slash like husband on the side that doesn't get any play in the tabloids. This could be interesting. I mean, Paul Rudd is a Marvel superhero now, and he's still making these weird little indie things. This sounds like it could just be irreverent enough to be interesting, as it is a similar story that we've heard before, except this has a gay slant on it. So yeah, I don't know. Not much is known about it. But it sounds like it'd be funny.
I'm with you, yeah, but that's really the best that you could hope for is that it's at least a joke that's in taste, I guess. I mean, I don't know, it's
yeah.
that's the best I got.
Next up on the docket, James Franco, who I feel like just putting a ban on Franco from our show. It's like we don't talk about him anymore because he literally every week it's something new, and this week it's 2 things, and the week before this it was like 2 things, and the week before that it was 1.
Well, he's keeping busy. We know that.
Well, he's always been busy.
He's always working.
Okay, well, let me talk about the things he's working on. this one's actually really cool. He created a nonprofit film studio just 2 days ago. It's in part with his favorite charity, which is also like one of Hollywood's favorites, called Art of Asylum. And so his production company, this nonprofit film studio, is called Asylum Bandini Productions. It's a joint venture with his own Rabbit Bandini production banner, which he makes his own little things on, like Palo Alto and anything else, As I Lay Dying, whatever. So this is cool. Like, the idea here is that they're going to be making these movies. All the proceeds are going to go directly to the charity. It's going to be helping people out that are homeless or veterans or people that have issues, and just try to help them get back on their feet through the power of cinema. It'd be really cool if they could get people that they're trying to help out, like, be on set so they could get a job. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would imagine so. I mean, but yeah, that's a good thing to work towards.
yeah. I thought this was a cool thing.
Yeah, James Franco's making the world a bit of a better place.
He's trying. I mean, this is like just the flip of the coin here. Okay, so the day before that happened, this was announced. James Franco and Kirsten Stewart are set to star in a biopic about J.T. Leroy, and this is a true story. It might sound familiar. I'll tell you why in a second here. That goes behind the scenes of a hoax of a woman who pretended to be a man who identifies as transgender, tricking both the rich and famous in Hollywood and the fashion world with her book that was a big hit in literary circles. If this might sound familiar, it's because Amazon bought the rights to a doc about the same author just 2 weeks ago at Sundance that is produced by Brett Ratner. So I guess, the early 90s are making a comeback. There's going to be both a biopic and a doc coming out around the same time about the same subject matter. I hope it's James Franco playing the author. Like, maybe they do, like, it's Kristen Stewart as a woman and James Franco playing him as a man.
Sure.
Like some kind of
there's an image, yeah. I mean, it'd make it weird and interesting, yeah.
Like a I'm Not There type of thing, where it's the same character, different actors. But, like, we could have talked about either of those two news stories and it would have been good enough, and yet he's doing both. Does he ever take a break? Does he go to sleep?
I don't know, man.
He teaches at like 4 universities. Yeah, he has like 3 degrees. Yeah, like
he's very, very good at not wasting time. I mean, I don't know, because apparently he's also a very social guy.
I mean, he's an author.
Yeah,
he's like a poet. He's an artist. Like he's a literal jack of all trades.
Yeah, he knows the secret to how to live life.
But I mean, you look at him in a movie, and I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything besides like maybe 127 Hours. I was like, oh yeah, that guy got his shit together. He's always moving. He just seems like the slacker stoner, like, dumbass. And maybe it's just because he's played that character so many times that you get that idea. Like, people say, oh, actors play themselves and they're written in roles.
No, there's a bunch of good serious roles.
Well, True Story, I guess.
Think of any off the top of the hat right now. Yeah, no, True Story is actually a good one. Yeah, I mean, 127 Hours is a great movie, though. That's one that, beyond him just being in it, that's a movie you remember.
Because it's pretty graphic. Like that joke in Deadpool. If Deadpool came out a year or two earlier, it would probably have been a better joke. But yeah, more directors here. Ava DuVernay is being courted currently by Amblin Entertainment to make this film called Intelligent Life. Lupita Nyong'o is most likely going to be starring in it. It's written by Colin Trevorrow. Really interesting concept here. It's about a United Nations worker who's the representative of humankind in the course of first contact with alien life. And then he falls in love with a woman who turns out to be an alien, played by Nyong'o. Definitely sounds...
Who's getting typecast now for playing aliens.
Sure. But it definitely sounds like an Amblin movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope this is good. I really hope the two of them sign on to do it. Lupita Nyong'o is also being approached to being something else. Like, she's still hot. She hasn't really been in anything live action since 12 Years a Slave. Like, Nonstop came out after that was released, but it was filmed before.
It was relatively around that time.
Yeah, like, she hasn't been in anything else since winning an Oscar besides Star Wars. So, I think this could be the right move. being like getting involved with the right people. I mean, a director who currently is working on a TV show for Oprah's own network. But yeah, I hope that this is just a sign of things that are coming out of Amblin, that they're going to be reaching for that supernatural or kid-friendly, just fun element of life that they were so known for in the late to early 90s.
I really want to see it. Like, it just feels like an Amblin film, and I'd rather see something like that instead of another franchise or comic book movie, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it just based on that.
So yeah, I who knows if this is moving forward? Who knows if they're gonna stay involved? But right now, it seems like it could be something that's really good. Just a couple more directors here. Xavier Dolan, who you probably don't know the name of, but might be familiar with some of his work. He directed Mommy, and more notably, Adele's Hello music video. He also makes movies. A ton of them, in fact. The dude's only 26 years old, and he already has 6 features. He's making his English language debut next. It's going to be titled The Life and Death of John F. Donovan. It's a satire about Hollywood celebrity, and it has a huge cast, including Natalie Portman, Nicholas Hoult, Thandie Newton, Kit Harington, Jessica Chastain, Susan Sarandon, Kathy Bates, and the list goes on. He's made, I think, a film in French, like one in Swedish. Who knows? He's worked on TV, like I said, some music videos. So definitely, you know, if we're talking about James Franco always moving, this guy doesn't know how to sleep.
I was gonna say, you want to ban him?
Yeah.
I mean, both these guys know the secret to living, man.
I don't, like, when you're moving that much, you're not living. It's like get busy living or get busy dying. 6 features by the age of 26? That's insane.
I feel like I've wasted my life, yeah.
Sure. But I still haven't seen Mommy. It's on Amazon. I need to. It's supposed to be one of the better films of 2014. It was a big hit at Cannes. And just Letterboxd loves that movie too. So I have to check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the takeaway here is that the director of Adele's Hello music video also makes movies.
And he's making one that's in English now.
A huge one in English, yeah, with the humongous cast. Final director we got here before some more fun stuff. Jonathan Levine. He's directing this movie with Amy Schumer where she gets kidnapped while on vacation in Brazil with her mother. Goldie Hawn's being approached. I don't know the title of this film. It sounds like it could be fun. I know Amy Schumer's like rewriting it with her sister to try to make it match her kind of mood. Kind of reminds me of Jewel of the Nile. I just hope that this is more sincere than over the top, because I can just picture Amy Schumer getting kidnapped and her be like, oh, I need a ransom, and I hope it's good and it's about her becoming like a strong character, and like she doesn't need someone to save her, like she can do it herself.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope it's not just a one joke movie. Jonathan Levine's a good guy to have behind it, though, so we shall see.
We shall. We'll see more of her, too, because if that's not enough, she was also announced to be joining, Amy Schumer that is, to be joining Miles Teller in a movie. It's a PTSD drama called Thank You for Your Service. It's being helmed by...
serious now.
Yeah, it's being helmed by the American Sniper scribe, Jason Hall. It's going to be his first time directing. So yeah, it's very under wraps, but basically the idea, I think, is that there's going to be a group of soldiers who deal with PTSD. It's kind of like their lives back in the States and adapting to civilian life. But yeah, this is her going full drama route, trying to prove that she's a good actress. I think it's a little too soon for that.
She's capable. I mean, she nailed the dramatic beats in Trainwreck.
Yeah.
So, this definitely seems like a really... It's a completely different subject, and I hope that the transition will at least be seamlessly for an audience, like just hopefully just her presence on the screen can work for that.
It's a weird segue, though, because obviously she has her TV show, she's done a couple of stand-up things, but she only has one Hollywood movie. It's very comedic.
Yeah.
And
it only feels weird until it happens. Franco goes back and forth between drama and, being the stoner comedy guy and whatever the hell he was doing in Spider-Man.
But
so
the difference here is that she follows a long line of comedians that decide to make the jumps to drama. It's just usually, like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, they stay in the comedy lane long enough to establish themselves as a star and then say, hey, I'm not a one-trick pony. it seems kind of weird to me that she's trying to get on the other side of the tracks before even proving that she's really bankable. Like, she has one success.
I don't think it's too soon yet. I mean, I think you can try that whenever you want. Honestly, yeah, I just don't see it as a problem.
Well, I was going to talk about something about Sega potentially making a Sonic movie at Sony, but I want to rile you up. Supposedly, Lionsgate's working on Saw Legacy. Yes, a continuation of the franchise they said they were ending like 6 years ago. I really hope this doesn't happen.
It probably could. I mean, there will be like at least one reboot, at least one. Whether or not that does well,
But
I don't know. I mean,
it can't be good.
Yeah, no one needs it. It's like, I don't know. I don't feel the need to dwell over it. If it happens, then yay. If it does well, then
Can you,
sure. I mean, yay, because that's
Can you imagine a found
studio needs to
footage
make money, but
Saw movie though? Imagine if they went the found footage route. They just put like a camera in the corner of the trap room, and that's the whole movie.
Sure, you can try it. I guess I don't know.
Who knows? Like,
I,
Lionsgate might. They're so desperate for money right now. Like,
yeah, Hunger Games is over.
yeah. Well, until they reboot it.
This isn't rallying me up. This is just like I just don't care.
I'm surprised you're not mad about this. Like, you're usually the guys like fucking legacy movies, fucking reboots, fucking sequels.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I'm just so burnt out about it now that at some point you just have to sit back and go, well, fine, whatever. If you're gonna do it, then you're gonna do it. I mean, that's the process. It comes out and then it's shit, or it actually turns out to be good, and that's a good thing. Then people enjoy it, and it kind of sucks that the studio has to be dependent on familiar stuff like that only. But yeah, whatever. I mean, if they manage to do something creative with this series, which I don't think they will, although some of the sequels did surprise me. But yeah, whatever. I mean, it's not a new thing, reviving horror properties. I mean, there were a ton last decade with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th. There's just, I mean, that's what Platinum Dudes specializes in.
Not to mention Friday the 13th is getting another reboot. So
yeah, and we also had Poltergeist last year. I don't think that did too well, even though I hear it wasn't horrible.
I've read that that's a shot-for-shot remake, a la like the Psycho remake by Gus Van Sant. That's what I read not too long ago.
Really?
That's what, like, not intentionally, but yeah, they made the anti-remake on accident, or maybe on purpose.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to see it.
You never want to see it.
What's his name? I know. I think the last name's Keenan. Yeah, but like Gil Keenan. Yeah, no, he's actually a talented guy. Like, I think they were trying to get him for the first Captain America a while back. I mean, really want to see that guy get something good. But yeah, no, Saw, whatever.
Whatever. This is a movie that I've heard a little bit about over the past, and now it sounds like something I really want to see. Kumail Nanjiani. He has a script that's been making the rounds. It's called The Big Sick. If you don't know the name, he's the guy that plays the Pakistani dude on Silicon Valley. He also has a show on Comedy Central. But yeah, they just cast Zoe Kazan as his girlfriend. It's inspired by true life experiences he has with his white girlfriend, and just how weird that is. Michael Showalter is directing. Judd Apatow's producing. So they got a lot of talent involved. I hope that this is good. Obviously, it has a good agenda. Just having a Middle Eastern, like, white couple on screen. Obama was asking for more movies and TV starring Middle Eastern people. Hopefully this is good. I feel like it's going to be. I generally like his comedy, maybe not so much his tweets. But yeah, this sounds like it could be a big hit. At the very least, something that is funny enough to watch on HBO Go or Netflix or wherever it makes its place. I mean, it's Showalter and Judd Apatow. They both have deals, not deals, but they both dealt with Netflix directly through Wet Hot American Summer and that Love show that came out a couple days ago. Speaking of Netflix, they're releasing this movie that might be really good, might be horrible. It's a Borat-style movie about Hitler waking up unscathed in modern-day Berlin. It's called Look Who's Back. It's going to be streaming April 9th. It was a sleeper hit in Germany based on a best-selling novel. Like I said, it sounds like it'd be hilarious and also sounds like it'd be horrible. Um,
I'm leaning more towards horrible,
yeah.
not probably because they'll mess up. It's just I think Hitler jokes are they've been just it's a dead horse. You can only beat it for so long. I mean, 70 years is later. Yeah, it's
Like this is
you move on
literally
after a
a
while.
Borat movie, though. It's gonna have a mix of scripted interactions and hidden camera
Yeah.
hijinks. So just Berliners walking around and seeing someone who looks like Hitler should get a couple of good laughs. Hopefully, this is only
I
like
guess. I
85
don't know.
minutes or something, so it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like, you got to move on from the Nazi Party. Like, because, like the thing with Borat is that it kind of pokes fun and just presents American ignorance and just, turns it on its head.
They're
And,
nice.
like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in there that it just pokes fun at about our world today. What are you going to say about Hitler in 2016 and make that funny? How is there anything funny with that style? Like that, I'm leaning more towards terrible, honestly. I mean, I just don't see any reason for it to exist. But if you can make it funny, like something like What We Do in the Shadows, then yeah, I can see that. But
I guess we'll find out early
yeah.
April, because I'm sure one or the both of us are gonna talk about it on Dollar Reviews. Moving on to TV, I got a couple of things here. One really big one. It's been making the rounds. THR says that they have insider info that it's going to Showtime, but Scott Rudin's been going around town with this film, or I mean not a film, a TV show. Daniel Craig's supposed to be starring in it. It's an adaptation of a Jonathan Franzen novel titled Purity. Don't know much about it. It's looking to be like 23 episodes or something like that. But the big thing here is that James Bond is, he's been talking about being tired of the franchise, want to do something else. And the fact that he's going to Showtime, well, if it is in fact Showtime, it could be Netflix, it could be, who knows. Who knows if this is going to be good? At the very least, it's going to be high profile. I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be something to watch for, especially because Showtime has their own streaming app. They're on Amazon Prime, and they're trying to get bigger and better as the calendar ticks down. But I'd probably check this out. I do like Showtime when I do, like Shameless. So who knows if it's actually going to be there. It's something that you probably care about more. Kevin Smith is getting another TV show. He's getting a
Really?
9-week stay at AMC. It's going to be a talk show called Geeking Out. That's going to premiere mid-July during Comic-Con. Greg Grunberg from Heroes, and I think he was in Star Wars Episode 7 too. He's going to be sitting opposite him on the couch. So yeah, Kevin Smith already has his dick in there with Comic Book Men. There's been rumors that Hit Somebody might be there in the near future.
That's the one I was hoping you would announce right
Yeah,
there.
no.
But
That would have been a
it's just
headline.
another talk show.
That would have been at the top of the show. But yeah, this is just another talk show, which AMC has enough of.
Yeah.
They already have Talking Dead. They just announced that they're going to
Just
have
announced the new one.
the Better Call Saul show. So it's a big thing for them to have TV talk shows. But I really, I talked about this on Dollar Views.
Yeah, it works if you're a fan of that
Yeah.
program. Yeah, I can see the appeal there, but
I really liked
they're not shows I watch.
I liked Kevin Smith on that DC superhero special on the CW. I've watched. It's kind of weird, like his deal with Screen Junkies, where he makes video podcasts for Fat Man on Batman now. Kind of weird. So this is just gonna be like an extension of this. It's probably gonna have like a similar feel to Spoilers too. I'm probably gonna tune in every week though. I like seeing Kevin Smith fanboy. I mean, I'm sure at the very least some of his talking points are going to be similar to ours. So maybe I can quote him. Maybe he'll quote us. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah, but it should be interesting. But yeah, maybe him being there can help AMC fund something down the future. Yeah, TV shows I care about: Ash vs. Evil Dead, the first season of which is pretty fun. Ted Raimi has been cast as Ash's childhood best friend on the show. This is cool for a couple of reasons. One being that Ted Raimi, if you don't know, is Sam Raimi's brother. He's in a ton of his films, most notably the Spider-Man movies and also two of the Evil Dead films. So this is, in my mind, it's hopeful that Sam Raimi might have a bigger hand in what's going on this season, as he solely just wrote and directed the pilot last season. So maybe he's back to direct another one. I still think he directed one of the best ones last season. Yeah, this is just cool. It's Ted Raimi. He doesn't get a lot of business. He's always just been that character actor in his brother's movies.
Yeah, I'm honestly not even familiar with what he really does other than being Sam Raimi's brother. That's the only time I usually hear of him.
That's kind of how that works, though. Like when you have a sibling like famous enough that you can just be in there. Like before Bruce Campbell had a resurgence over the last couple of years because of Burn Notice, he was just that guy that shows up in Sam Raimi movies. So it's like maybe Ted Raimi will be a starring actor in a couple of years. Who knows? Last thing, I got two tech things here that kind of breach over the TV realm. Time Warner said that HBO now has 800,000 subscribers. It's only been 10 months since their launch, and they're prepping for a big marketing push now. Those are pretty good numbers. I mean, it's obviously not Netflix, but they also have their traditional HBO people on top of this. This is their streaming-only model without a subscription to cable or satellite. I wonder, it would be really stupid, but I wonder if they would do something like HBO streaming only original programming
At a lower price, maybe, yeah, sure. But like if there's enough of a demand for it, then yeah, sure, maybe. But I don't know. I don't really see why other than that.
Well, I can see them potentially making programming that's only available via streaming instead of putting it on their network. Because, time slots only work a certain way. You have to get prime time. You can only be certain days of the week. Things like that. Like, a HBO show is almost always either on Saturday or Sunday. It's like you'd only have so many shows once a week if it's on one day of the week. But yeah, these are good numbers. We talked HBO in Spain is going digital only in a couple of months, maybe like half a year from now. So it's proof that they have numbers. They're just shy of 1 million people, but they're not the only one. I mean, there's a startup called StreamUp, which is like a competitor to Periscope and Meerkat. They're looking to become an internet-only TV network. They already have some A to B level talent set up. Among the stuff that they have going for them, they're going to have like a talk show with a rotating host. They're going to have a Andy Milonakis cooking show. They're going to have a live reproduction of Cannibal the Musical, which is Trey Parker and Matt Stone's like first thing they did. It's a trauma film. I believe it's on Netflix. It's really bad, but maybe it could be good live. I don't know. This is obviously what they did as a musical before they did South Park and before the Book of Mormon. Mm-hmm. So it's not as good, but it is weird. It's about a group of cannibals singing. But it's bizarre. I had to turn it off when I tried to watch it ago. But yeah, I don't know how this is going to work. The network idea is kind of something that only works on TV. Like, I wouldn't call Netflix a network. But that's what they're looking for, like live streaming TV that's on the internet only. So if it works for them, good. I highly doubt it. I think they're going to go bankrupt. Seems like a bad idea. Final thing I got for TV here before we talk about tech, there's only a couple things on the agenda. Master of None, really great show on Netflix. Aziz Ansari. It's returned for a second season sometime next year. I'm really excited. They leave it really, and it has an open ending. It could be taking place anywhere. Hopefully it's in Japan. It could be in Spain. It just ends with him on a plane at the end of the first season. So I'm happy that Netflix isn't pushing this out. They haven't announced the date. Just, hey, it's going to be 2017. So Aziz Ansari has some room to breathe. Hopefully he does more stuff before then. But yeah, like I said, we got some tech here. You might have something to say about this. Verizon has their chairman of AOL looking at acquiring Yahoo. So if you didn't know, Verizon owns AOL, and yeah, now Verizon's trying to get Yahoo too. This comes off of Yahoo announcing last week that they're reducing their workforce by 15%. They closed Yahoo Screen a couple months ago. They're dismantling a lot of their global offices. And, this is really important because unlike Google, who has YouTube and a digital storefront, Yahoo doesn't have a clear media strategy. They tried to, bring community back. They tried to do some documentaries. And none of that works. So despite what kind of numbers they got in terms of just search queries or gaming or Messenger in the past or their mail services, they don't really have anything to keep their users active, a reason to stay involved. So if AOL can obtain them, and that's all that AOL has now, they have like Engadget and a lot of other media outlets. Verizon could somehow find a way to get them all together. I'm sure that this would mean that Verizon has a search engine, like their own dedicated one. Just when you already have someone who's...
I just don't know, what they would do with Yahoo at this point. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because Google is like so ingrained into, like the just modern internet culture. Like I'm sure they'll find like a way of using it. It'll probably be as reliable as Bing though, or something like that.
Well, that's what's funny. Like,
if it isn't already,
Yahoo and Bing are no less accurate than Google. It's just that Google has more of a market share. It's a more universal term. It is a verb. You say, "I'm going to Google it."
Yeah, Google it.
Yeah,
like that, it's
like, can you imagine going? Yeah, I'm just going to Bing it.
I mean, and like most email addresses are at Gmail.
Well, I mean,
so, like,
the reason for that though is because when you get an Android phone, you have to sign up or create a Gmail account. Period. That's how their infrastructure on Android works. So it's made it more ubiquitous. But once upon a time, Gmail was only available through an invitation, and then after that, you had to sign up with a text message to get a beta code. So it's come a long way since then. But this could be interesting. I don't know. Maybe it could make Yahoo a competitor again. At the very least, if it's possible, like I said, like Verizon would have more internet savvy people on board. I don't know. But yeah, kind of connected to Verizon. Alcatel, who's a phone maker, there's something they make like budget models through Sprint usually. They have this new phone coming out called the One Touch Idol 4S. Nothing cool about it except one, and that's the fact that the plastic box that it's going to be coming in, its packaging, doubles as a Google Cardboard compatible VR viewer. So anyone that buys this phone out of the gate is going to have a VR device.
Like I said, man, it's becoming more mainstream.
Well, I mean, it's a streamlined, like the box. Anyone could make their phones in the future, the cardboard box being a Google Cardboard. But this is like it's plastic, like it's like Gear VR almost. The pictures of it look kind of cool, and the idea here, like I said, they make budget devices. Like you don't care about getting a Samsung or getting a Sony or whatever. You just want a phone, and then this one could get you two things at the same time. I think it's really cool. Final thing I got here on the show, pretty controversial. Do you remember Popcorn Time? They were really big in the news almost a year ago now. It was it was like the pirate version of Netflix. It was basically streaming torrents through your TV or your web browser. Well, it's coming back, not Popcorn Time exactly, but there's currently a browser plugin that allows you to stream movie torrents, most notably through the Pirate Bay, which is the biggest torrenting site on the planet. So yeah, this is available right now. You could set it up. I don't know how well it works. I don't really want to know. It sounds like it's going to be, how you get a virus.
Yeah, I got no use for it whatsoever.
But it makes you wonder because torrenting's not illegal. The technology.
It's just it's illegal content that's put on there for movies and entertainment. Yeah.
But like our podcast is available through torrenting. The website that we host our content on, archive.org, you can torrent all their files. So just in terms of media sharing and having peer-to-peer networking and stuff like that, this could be cool because say you're working on a student project and you have 16 people in your class, okay? And you all have the files on your computer, and instead of using Dropbox or Google Drive where you have to download the whole thing to watch the content and then delete off your computer and then talk about it, you could stream it through the torrent if you got enough peers engaged at once, if you got enough seeders. I think that down the line that this could become technology that's really useful and really important in the same way that torrents, once we figure out this whole creative differences and something being legal and not and what is available there in the first place, it could be a really great tool that goes hand in hand with something like Wikipedia, where you just go, how wasn't this always there to begin with? I don't know. Definitely controversial subject, controversial item at play here, but I think its educational and just informational uses down the line could be really great and really important. But yeah, that's the end of our show. We got nothing else to save. Steve's phone just died, so you're not going to hear him anymore in the rest of this episode. If you'd like to reach us, you can do it on multiple ways. The easiest of which is going through social media. We're available on Facebook and Twitter at Dollar Reviews. You can also send us an email, brian@dollarreviews.com, or .net rather. Sorry about that. I wish I could forward that URL. But yeah, all of our content's available on dollarreviews.net. We're on YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn. We're going to be on Google Play Music soon. I'm looking into other places. Yeah, you got anything to say, just let us know. If you liked our talking points, that's cool. If you hated them, that's even better. Any kind of feedback's appreciated. Like I said, you can reach us anyway. We'll be back in a couple of days with our You've Got Mail episode of Death Cinema. We're going to be reviewing some movies on Friday. We got some collaborations and crossovers with our friends over at Future Horse Podcast. We got a couple of RoboCop episodes because of that. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.